Hello, beloveds, and welcome.
Hello.
This is our Ezine. I hope you like the new format. And yes, this is our holiday Ezine, and I'm dressed for the occasion. And so we're going to give you your article verbally. So this is our new way to interact with you. And so the title of this article is Holidays. Do we really have to?
Do we have
Do we
to?
really
Do
have
we?
to? And you know, we all have stuff around holidays, and you know, the key to getting through this is to at least to try to be in touch with what it is you really need and want.
Yes.
And if you can, go out and do it.
Yes.
You know, for example, we had a client who was telling us that it did not support her in her process to be in with certain people, like her in-laws, for example. And so she just declined politely the offer.
Yes.
And for many of you, that would be heresy to do something like that. But you know, the in-laws may be thinking something similar along that. And so what would it be like if we all did what we really need and wanted for the holidays, whether it was just relax or take off for Hawaii or just do nothing?
Something as audacious as being authentic?
Authentic.
Wow.
Yes. And
wow.
so I want to tell you a story about how I achieved a Christmas healing quite accidentally, and I wasn't looking for a Christmas healing. I hope you don't mind my use of the word Christmas, because that's the tradition I was brought up with. But it doesn't matter what tradition you are participating in, it would be similar. And you know, when I grew up, most of my Christmas stuff has to do with loneliness. Because I had, my parents were there, but they were around, but they didn't really participate with me a lot with Christmas, and they just didn't. And so it was very lonely for me to be at Christmas. And I remember when I was 13, and it was so lonely that on Christmas Day I got on the bus and just took a bus up to San Francisco International Airport and just looked at the planes, because I love the planes, and that's what I did. I sat there on the planes. In fact, 20 years later, when I would tell my therapist this story, he almost cried. Anyway, so that's stuff that always comes up around Christmas, but I had a tremendous healing, and I want to tell you about that. And I'm telling you this story as an illustration of
Yes.
what you might do.
Yes.
So some years ago, around the time I was meeting my beloved here, that I was in Hawaii for Christmas. My beloved teacher Shankari, who makes the jewelry that we wear, invited me actually, to go to Hawaii and just spend Christmas with her and some other people in Hawaii. And I thought, well, that'd be nice. So I did accept the offer. And on Christmas Day, out in this remote part of Hawaii, you know, she doesn't get up until very late, so nothing was going to happen until like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So I had most of the day. And so I was able to say to myself, what is it that I really need and want? What would give me joy today? And I had my violin with me, and so I just got in the car, drove up the road a few miles, and found the first hospital that I could find. And I hadn't made any arrangements or any preparations, but it was Christmas Day and it was Hawaii. So I just walked into the emergency room, this little community hospital in the middle of remote Hawaii, and I just went up to the nurses and said, would you like to hear some tunes? And they said, okay. So I got out my violin and I played a few tunes for them. And then after a while, one of the nurses came down, another nurse came down from upper level and said, oh, would you mind coming up and playing for the people upstairs in the rooms? And I said, sure, I'd be happy to. So I went up and I played for them as well. And then they said, would you come down and play for the residents? Because there was a residential level actually in that place. So I played for the residents.
Yes.
And so I spent like an hour or so there, and they said, you know, we're having a luau. Why don't you come and have the luau with us? So I sat with them and I had luau afterwards. It was a wonderful Hawaiian Christmas luau, and I just sat with them and chatted with these people, and they were friendly and receiving, and I just felt a lot of joy. And then I had another idea, so I went up the road a little further where I knew there was a convalescent hospital, and I went in there, and there was, without being announced or anything or calling ahead of time, I just stepped in there, and there was a big room full of lots of people, and receiving care, and it was quite chaotic, and the nurses, I could tell, were doing their best to keep things in order on Christmas Day. And so one of the residents came up to me, and she was a little bit in dementia, but really she was a prophetess. I felt she was channeling her, message. She said, oh, you've come to play the violin. And I said, yes. Well, that would be nice. Maybe about 40 minutes or so. And I said, well, shouldn't I ask the nurse, do you think, before I play? She said, well, there's one over there. And I said, okay, I'll ask the nurse first. So I went over there, and she was so busy trying to get people ready, and she was going pretty much mad. And I said, can I play? And she goes, play, do anything. She really was at the end of her ropes. So I started to play in that room, of that messy room, with, and people started to calm down. And it just was a nice, it just, people started to breathe and just relax and get ready for lunch. And then a woman came in from one of the staff and said, oh, you brought your violin. Would you please come and play for our locked ward? That's where the Alzheimer's people are. They have to lock the doors so they don't wander out. So I went into there, and there were the people there with Alzheimer's and other dementia sitting there with their families, their adult children. And so I spent the next hour or so playing for them. And we sang. I play kids tunes because the people with Alzheimer's love the kids tunes. It's a very deep memory for them. They will remember the kids tunes even though they can't remember anything else, and they'll come out of their Alzheimer's for just a second. Just their eyes will brighten up. And so I spent some time with them. And so I remember leaving that place. And I remember getting in the car to drive back to see what Shankari would be up to. It was almost time to meet her. And I just remember coming to tears. And I remember feeling the pain leaving me, the pain of Christmas. And what had happened was I had been healed. I had given myself a healing without even trying or wanting to or intending. I wasn't thinking I was going to heal myself. I just did what I was most connected with. Yes. I followed the path of joy. Yes. And that's the essence of what they tell us that Christmas is about, or the holidays, as you wish. And so, beloveds, as you think of the Christmas and you think of the appointments that you'd perhaps rather not keep or are dreading, you may not be able to just say no or find it within yourself, or I know you'll have many reasons why you can't and you won't and they wouldn't, and I know all about it. But what would it be like, beloved, if you're able to say, this is what I really need? Yes. It would change everything. Not only would it change you, but it might help change the situation and the families and the things around you. And everyone might take a breath around Christmas. Yes. And so that's our message for today, and we wanted to also tell you that we'll be doing a call shortly. You'll see that further down in the Ezine about how to de-stress for the holidays.
Yeah, because the holidays, they bring up all these stories. I mean, there's stories that are contained in our bodies. We may not even know it. And it's a real time of opportunity, actually, to go further in our healing while we de-stress, and maybe do some of what you talked about and actually complete something. So we want to do a call around de-stressing over the holidays, and actually invite you into coming in more consciously and possibly having this be a holiday where some of your inner work gets finished or gets held in a different way. So you're going to be different. So how exciting is that?
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yes.
So please join us for our call, and details are below, or if we're on Facebook, we'll have it posted somewhere.
Yes.
I wanted to wish you well, beloveds, and tell you how much we adore you.
Yes, yes, we love you, and beloved is clearly the word that we think of all of you. Namaste.
Namaste.